Hello, Fremont Firebird families. My name is Jeff Beckstrom, your student's social studies teacher for either world history or U.S. government and AP microeconomics. Thanks for taking the time this evening to stop by and take a look at my class. I have a couple of things planned for you. The main thing is an activity that I like to run with my students. Usually I run this activity in person in the classroom, of course. And so today will be a little bit more telling than showing, but I think you'll still enjoy it and really learn what my classroom is all about and what your students should be getting out of every day. Okay, so a little bit about me. I actually graduated from Fremont back in 1996. Maybe some of you are also Fremont alums. Maybe we went to school together. You might not remember me, though. I kind of kept to myself. I went to UC Davis and I studied economics, and I finished that up in 2002. A few years after that, I got my teaching credential from San Jose State, and then I went back to San Jose State to get a master's degree in educational leadership in 2012. So there's just a little bit of my educational background. Please, whenever you feel the need to contact me about anything, you can email me directly at jeff_beckstrom@fuhsd.org. You can also leave me a voicemail on my school phone, which is down there at the bottom. Those come right to my email, so I'm able to easily respond to those messages. You can also reach out to me through Schoology. The Schoology messaging service kind of integrates pretty well with our email. A couple of things that you might want to note about how world history and AP microecon works is that I don't give any Ds in either class. My rationale for this is that, for one thing, Ds are pretty problematic when it comes to applying to colleges. So for your students, it can be a real challenge to get rid of a D once it's on their transcript. But moreover, it's that if I think about like a little descriptor that comes with each kind of letter grade, the description of a D would be, didn't really learn much, but passes anyways. So that's not really why I'm here. I don't think that's why your students are here. I'm sure that's not why you want them to go to school. And I want them to, instead of settle for something like a D, to revise work that's not quite up to standard so they can raise that grade up higher. And you can also see there that the percentage threshold point-wise is a little bit lower for a C. To pair with that philosophy and that idea, I'm not a busy work kind of teacher. I like to have everything that I do in the classroom, everything that I'm asking students to do in the classroom, all the work that I'm asking them to submit and grade is meaningful or tied to a meaningful piece of learning. So to me, the learning is the most important thing. Your students will have plenty of opportunity to learn punctuality and things like that in the professional world. But I don't view school like I would a corporation. And I think that being on time is important, but it's only about 20% important. So I accept late work for the entire semester. Any piece of late work I'd still want to see done. I want to see it done to, meeting standards quality. And they can get 80% of the credit for anything, a large project or essay, down to a very small homework item or anything like that, as long as they turn it in late. So it's a one-time only penalty. And let's see, so for the AP test registration for my AP microecon parents, it's earlier this year, well, same as last year, but earlier than it had been in previous years. So hopefully you've got all that squared away. Now for the activity for today. So this is an activity that I run with all of my classes and have done for a number of years on the first day of school. And it's meant to introduce students to my educational philosophy. What it is a visual puzzle. If you were in the classroom with a number of other people who you either know or don't know, I would ask you to not talk to each other in the first round of this visual puzzle. So there's 5 different rounds, and imagine as you go through it, I'll kind of take away some of the restrictions and add on a little bit more information to get you closer and closer to what the answer to this puzzle might be. So here's the image. If you look at this image, you can probably not see anything because that's the way that it works for most people in this first round. Perhaps you've seen something like this before. Perhaps you've done the same puzzle before. Perhaps you remember, if you're a parent of one of my seniors, perhaps you remember when your student was in my class as a sophomore and you remember the same activity. It's really inscrutable at first. So that's the first round. And if you can see it, wonderful. In the second round, what I will do is give you one piece of direct instruction kind of hint. It's a close-up view. So you're not looking at a landscape view or a view from space. It's not craters on the moon or something like that. It's a close-up view. In fact, the subject of the image is not entirely pictured. You can pause it now if you'd like to take a little bit longer to look at it, but I'll otherwise move on to round 3. In round 3, I would normally take questions. Since this is pre-recorded, I'll just answer a few of my own yes or no questions that commonly come up in this activity. One might be, is it a living being? Yes, it's a living being. Is it a animal that's not a human? Oh yes, it's an animal, it's not a human. Does it live in the ocean? No, it does not live in the ocean. What are some other questions? Does it produce something that's valuable to humans? Yes, it does produce something that's valuable to humans. And so as these questions happen, the students move a little bit closer. And sometimes after round 3, people get to see what the thing is. It's usually not, though, until round 4 when I show you the direct outline. So I'm going to show you the outline of this particular thing, where in this image you should be looking for, kind of limiting your vision. And oftentimes it will pop right out to you. But if it doesn't, that's okay too, because actually that's the whole point. So what I want you to do is to look inside of the blue shape. You could pause it now if you want to have a moment of, oh, wow. Usually, anywhere between 80 and maybe 90 to 95% of the people in a room will see this image at this point. But no doubt some of you are still looking at it thinking, what is that thing? It's a blue, what is it like a version of Florida? What's happening here? So the reason why I like to stop here and highlight the difference between round 4 and round 5 is that it's really common. And as a teacher, you maybe have had this experience too. It can be very easy to move on to the next topic or the next activity or the next thing once a vocal majority of the students in my class exclaim or in some way kind of indicate to me that they've understood the concept. So many people can see the cow that's in this image. And if you can't see the cow, you can look here. This is one eyeball on the side. It's kind of turning its head. Its other eye would be over here. The shading here would be on the side of the cow's head because the sunlight might be coming from this direction over here. This would be the snout or the end of the cow's face, right, the top of its head, and then its body kind of going back this way. And in fact, you can't see the legs or the tail. They're not quite pictured because it is a close-up view. Back here, this often throws people off. I think this is probably a fence in the background, though I didn't create this image, so I don't really know. Now, here's the cow. And many people see the cow after round 4. But if we move on after round 4, without everybody, quote unquote, seeing the cow, then we end up leaving behind a few students on every concept, so to speak. So the way that I like to run my class and design my lessons and design my group work and partner work specifically is to reinforce the idea that everyone has a job to ensure that the entire class sees the cow, as we say. So if you can't see it yet, show the image to somebody else, work together with someone, describe what you see to someone else. I'll commonly have students get together in a group of 2, 3, 4 students and have each student vocalize exactly what they see, even if everyone says, oh yeah, I totally see it. We take the time to explain it to each other and kind of leverage the fact that we're all together in a classroom to make our understanding aloud, to speak it aloud. Oftentimes that clears up any misconceptions for the students, and it also gives an opportunity for students to kind of get that help that they might not otherwise feel courageous enough to ask for. So seeing the cow in here and the jobs for people to see the cow is kind of analogous to the way I want students to treat each other. So in each of the 5 rounds, there's a little bit of narrative here, but we only get to the everyone understands level when we work together and when we work together strategically. But working together is often very loaded. Maybe you've had this experience professionally where you feel judged as less than in a professional working group, or you have a concern that you are unwilling to raise in a professional setting because the last time you raised a concern, you were shut down. That happens across the board in so many different professions. And I don't want it to be happening in the classroom. I want the students to learn a healthier and more productive way to work together. And the healthier and more productive way to work together is to take to heart the co-responsibility for seeing the cow for everybody in the classroom. Students in my class have two jobs. Their first job is to ask questions courageously, to approach learning with courage in their heart and not worry that their peers and their classmates are going to judge them as less than or dumb if they don't understand right away. There's lots of reasons why someone might see the cow in round 3 or round 4, but others might not. And it's like not very many of them have to do with like natural ability. A lot of them have to do with everything else going on in life, especially with COVID and stress and distance learning and everything that you all are dealing with as families. So I ask my students to ask questions courageously and approach their group work and their learning with courage in their heart, and have compassion for the people who do ask the questions. Be willing to help others without judgment. Think about the words that you choose when you're working together. Students can choose words that build each other up, and they can choose words that slight each other when someone else has the opportunity to ask a question. So every day, my students know that their number one job, beyond learning the world history, before anything else, is to work together with courage and compassion. Don't fear each other's judgment and ask questions courageously. Don't judge each other. Help others without judging. That's what my whole classroom is about. That's what my whole educational philosophy is about. That's why I love this job and why I am really looking forward to spending the year at first remote and then in person with all of your students. Thank you very much for taking the time to check out my presentation. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to touching base with any and all of you over email or any other forum, kind of a Schoology message or anything like that. Thanks. Bye-bye.